Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. Let us coin the phrase Delectable Prison, and let us say that women live inside of these. And let us explore that. So this video is a response to Teal Swan, Every Woman's Great Double Blind, which was brought to my attention by a Facebook acquaintance, Efot, and I will be bringing in a quote in a minute here from another Facebook acquaintance who is outside of the intellectual sphere, shall we say. Now, Teal Swan goes along in her video in a rather confused way, it seems to me, trying to wrap her head around the fact that women have some quality which is on their surface, and they are judged primarily by that. She has a really hard time accepting it, maybe because it's been drilled into her all her life that she's just like boys and everyone's the same. She hasn't been brought up being told you're a girl and boys are like this and girls are like that. She hasn't been told those things. So she has a really tough time wrapping her head around some of these things, and she's obviously very educated, and she does these video blogs, and she's very educated. She's not an intellectual I don't think she rises to the level of an intellectual. She's just a video blogger giving her opinion. She might consider herself an intellectual. I don't know. Shouldn't presume to judge. However, if she is somewhere near the borderline of intellectual, her view of these things is terribly naive, in my opinion, and I think that it is due to cultural nonsense and the way our culture is rotten. So, women do wear, on the surface, a look which advertises to men their availability for reproduction. That ages quickly. It's done by their 30s or the 40s. Men can appear quite attractive into their 50s and 60s. We all know these facts. Let me put one idea into your mind, though, as we proceed. Imagine 99% of men died out tomorrow in some terrible disease that was only men got this disease. That 1% of men that were left over would be, first of all, pretty happy, possibly, but second of all, pretty busy, right? And they might even be enslaved and be milked, and they might have to give milk from their scrotum twice a day or something like that to satisfy the needs of the remaining women on the planet. The other way around, if 99% of women were killed tomorrow in some terrible disease, that remaining 1% of women might be so ragged they might not ever produce another baby, and the species would be wiped out. Or if the species did continue, it's obviously very, very slow. It's going to, because each woman can produce 3 or 5 or 8 or 12 kids, right? And each man can produce whatever, So men are dispensable, and women are extremely valuable, right? You could throw away tens of thousands of men from a big society and never miss them a bit. The women, however, you keep very safe, and you're very, very careful with them, because even the loss of one woman is magnified over the years in the loss of all her children and their children's children. Losing a single woman has an effect on your society. Losing a single man has no effect on your society. So, women advertise that they are the one the men should be choosing. Now, you might say to me, their advertisements don't have to be too strong. Men, seems every single woman gets pregnant. Like all of them, right? So, something's going on there. It's like that. They whatever their advertisement is, it's effective. First of all, let's say that. But if they want to enhance their advertisement, they use makeup, and they use nice clothes or whatever, and speak well or whatever, and dress their hair up or whatever, and look a way that, I'll tell you what, men don't know or understand or get what or why. We don't even understand sometimes that it's makeup that's doing that. We think that that's what the girl looks like. Women put this stuff on and they know a bit here and a bit there. It's magic to men. But women are doing that, whatever it is they're doing, for an advantage in the world. Okay, let's just accept that. The feminists have such a hard time accepting that. They want to wipe it out or destroy it or something. Now, if you really, really can't accept it, if you really go crazy about this, you are going to go down a road where you're going to have to protect women from being looked at, right? It's too offensive for a man's eyes to be pointed at a woman. That's too offensive. In our culture, for a man to point his eyes at a woman is too offensive in our culture. Wrap your head around that. So what are we going to do? We're going to have to either keep the women at home, or we're going to have to wrap them up in some sort of a protective covering where we can't see them. Or some combination of the two. It sounds really like we're being pushed towards Islam to me. So that's a scary thought if you look at that whole situation that way. But let's just accept that women wear their advertisements for their value on their surface. Here's one more fact to consider. Women's IQ cluster around 100. Men's IQ is much more broad. Now both of them are a bell-shaped curve with long tails. But there are very, very few women at the far tails. There are almost no women that are extremely stupid. And there are almost no women that are extremely smart. There are lots of men that are very, very, very dumb. And the reason for that is because historically, you can make use of, any society can make use of any male. As long as you have them all over the curve, you can do all kinds of things. The dumb ones can move rocks and go fight in an army, and the smart ones can decide what the army does and which rocks to move and break. So you can always use a man, dumb or not. So you can always produce men of any kind. You can use them, don't worry, and you can reproduce and produce more. But you cannot produce dumb women, because they will kill their babies somehow. A really, really dumb woman, their baby wouldn't live for whatever reason, and a medium dumb woman, their babies would have a hard time living. So a mother has to be of basic intelligence to keep their kids alive in the Stone Age or whatever, where we evolved from. So women cluster around average intelligence. Now maybe the forces that bring them up in intelligence also hold them down in intelligence. I don't know. But for whatever reason, they cluster around 100. So, they are wearing their advertisement for their value on the outside, in some cases, literally. Like, they are just average. They are not highly intelligent. You're never going to get them to write a book. And they are going to have a hard time being their kid's teacher, their children's teacher. They're going to have to get someone else to teach, Maybe this woman's not brilliant. Maybe most of her value is in reproductivity. Maybe that's the case. There are some men that are so dumb that they are not going to write books, and their only value to our society is, driving a trash truck or whatever it is, which is valuable and necessary, I know. So we have to wrap our heads around this stuff. And here's what I want to bring in. Now I think I can bring in this quote from this individual who, as I said, is outside the sphere of intellectualism or something like that. And here is the quote. I'll give it first to you politely, and then I will give it to you in the colloquial in which it was originally posted. Wanting a girl is not sufficient. Everybody wants a girl, particularly a pretty girl. So just wanting her is not sufficient. You have to value the girl. In the old days, this would have been taught to girls. Wait for a guy who truly values you. They're all going to, all the boys are going to want you. You need to choose one who's polite and so on and values you. This would have been taught in the old days. So here's how it was posted in the colloquial. Wanting her ain't enough, bro. All these niggas want her. You have to value her. Okay? So that's how they think of it. Now here's what I want to point out. Where Ifat, my friend from Facebook, very intellectual, intelligent woman, and Teal Swan of a seemingly average intelligence, slightly above perhaps in my estimation, they can't get, they're having a hard time accepting or getting their heads around this fact. And yet, there are sub-bits of our culture that come from older grains of our culture that haven't been stamped out by the intellectual elite. And these older grains and bits of our culture say that women are highly valued. Duh, everybody knows that. Okay? That's just their attitude to it. That's the attitude that was given to me as a child in the Mormon church. You know, the girls were all modest and wore their dresses and were polite and shy and quiet and well behaved. You know, and that there's a deeper reason for that. Now I'm not Jordan Peterson coming out here saying religion's any good. I'm just saying that the old-fashioned way of teaching things, they didn't have any trouble getting their heads around the fact that women are attractive. They're beautiful. That is the essence of women in some way. Okay? And a man makes himself valuable through his productive work. Now, there is nothing that the old view found controversial about that statement. Either we can wrap our heads around that and accept it again, or we're just going to keep floundering, and people like Teal Swan are going to wonder what to do about this, and we're going to have to wrap ourselves, all the women are going to have to wear black burqas around, and we're going to have to keep them at home, and men can't speak to them in case they would be offended. Because it's so confusing to them that they wear their beauty on the outside, and that is the main value of women to society, is their reproductive capacity. Blow my mind. It's true.